All right, hi everybody. Hopefully you can hear me. Good morning. So I'm going to talk about Fort Stanton Cave in New Mexico and Snowy River. And there are several NRMG members that have been involved in this project over the years. And I've just done 3 trips in there. So the bulk of this is about those trips that I was on. But lots of NRMG folks have been involved in this. And a shout out to the Fort Stanton Cave Study Project. These guys make everything happen down there. They keep everything very organized, and they set up the bunkhouse and really facilitate all the exploration of the cave. So Fort Stanton is down in southern New Mexico near Ruidoso. It was established as a national conservation area managed by the BLM in 2009. And the entrance is this giant sinkhole, and it's been known about for probably thousands of years. Fort Stanton itself was a military fort established in the mid-1800s, and so people had explored part of the cave a long time ago, and then cavers started digging in there, exploring further and digging in the 60s and 70s, and they left some glowing leads at the very end and some breakdown. And it wasn't until 2001 that a big breakthrough was made. This is a map of the cave as of 2014. It's a little hard to see on here, probably. Oh, there we go. Cool. So here's the entrance. This is the historic section of the cave that was known for a long time. There was about 7.5 miles known as of 2001. And the big breakthrough that I'm talking about was the discovery of Snowy River. So I'll have some photos of here in a sec. And Snowy River was explored downstream for about a mile, and then upstream to this thing right here called the Crawl from Hell. So they got stopped by a crawlway and gave up for a little bit until 2008. So you're in this muddy section of the cave, and then all of a sudden pop out and you're greeted with Snowy River. So Snowy is this white calcite formation that is extremely delicate, and the first time you ever lay eyes on it, it's like ridiculous. What is this thing? And it was discovered in 2001, but it took a while for anybody to really take that step of actually going on to Snowy River. And so everybody put on white shoes. In this picture, they've got Tyvek suits. This is the very first team to ever walk on Snowy River in 2001 in order to explore it. And it does have a pretty delicate crust, and so you have to really look for the places that are more resistant to walk on and be in very clean clothing. And then this is just what a lot of the passage there looks like. It's just miles and miles and miles of this. And Snowy River now is the longest continuous calcite formation in the world. It's over 11 miles long, like just a river channel coated in calcite. It's ridiculous. It's just the craziest work ever. Just real quick, a little bit more on this history. Their exploration halted in like 2005. So the cavers had dug through in 2001, found Snowy River, and then the area that they had dug was considered to be unstable and unsafe. So they stopped exploration and started this big shaft because they looked at the map of the cave and saw that there was another way that they could possibly dig down into an area called Mud Turtle and get down into Snowy that way. So this giant scaffolding ladder thing was constructed with the help of numerous volunteers in 2006 and 2007. And so now this is part of the main travel route when you go to Fort Stanton. When they finished that project and got back down to snowy, they were surprised to find that it was flowing. So every now and then it does flow, and so they had to wait for the water to stop. And this was in, I think this picture was from 2008 or 2000. Yeah, I think it was 2007. And then when exploration resumed in 2008, then they pushed the crawl from hell and found that it finally opened up and went back into giant Snowy River Passage again. And the crawl from hell is it's over 2,000 feet long. So it's not all that bad when you think about it, because you're going over like 11 miles of cave and only 2,000 feet of it is crawling. So not too bad. The challenge with the crawl from hell is that, anytime you're in this cave, you're wearing totally clean stuff whenever you're on the formation, and there's all these changes you have to do to put dirty stuff back on. If you're going to walk through any muddy sections, and you peel stuff off. It's a very complicated cave to cave in. And in the crawl from hell, you can see there's all this manganese on the ceiling, and you're trying desperately not to knock anything off the ceiling onto the formation. So you have to take it really slow and easy. And you've got these giant packs with you, and so it can be a little tricky. And you've got this damp rag in your pocket, and like a little nail brush and other random weird stuff like that. So that if you do knock something down, you can stop and clean it off, or if you accidentally get a little bit of mud on your shoe, you can stop and scrub that off. It's all about keeping the formation pristine. This is just an example of what we call magic carpets. So there are, I don't know how many hundreds of these things probably in that cave, but they're just strips of plastic that are set up so that you don't have to change your clean shoes into dirty shoes or put shoe covers on, and you can just walk across the mud banks and then go right back onto Snowy River again. So it makes it a lot more efficient. But there are a lot of places where you do have to do numerous shoe changes and things. I had to put a picture of Ian in there. Ian's done one trip in there? Yeah. So this is from one of Ian's trip in there. And this is just showing close-up of the formation. There's all these really cool pockets, and he's got his white soled shoes on here. And in, I think, 2011, I want to say, this area called Rough Country was discovered, which is many, many, many miles down Snowy River. It met this pile of breakdown, and it was like, oh gosh, where's the cave going to go now? And so there was a trip it took 2 trips to survey through this big breakdown mess. One trip? I thought it was the second trip that we finished it. Okay, all right. Thank you. So one trip to survey through Rough Country, but they found it and were stopped at it, and we're like, oh god, I don't even know how to get through this. So crazy old picture of us. So this is the first trip that I did in the cave. So Adam had done a trip in there before I had, and I was talking to him about how to pack to this thing, and he was explaining how the system down there works, and I was like, this sounds nuts. Because what we were doing is spending about 30 hours underground with no sleep, because you got to go like 9 or 10 miles one way, and then survey, and then come back out. And you're carrying all at this time we were carrying all of our water, so we had like 6 liters of water with us, and then all the clean to dirty transition stuff. I've only got a few minutes here, so I'm gonna breeze through a bunch of pictures from these trips. So there's Adam and some stuff that we found on this trip. What was notable was we went through the end of Rough Country into a place that's now called the Meanders, and it's a big pain in the butt to travel through, because there's multiple shoe cover changes and stuff like that. So more pictures from that trip, just on and on and on and on. That's what a lot of Snowy looked like. And then just kind of a yard sale, but here's all of us taking a break. And yeah, you can, as long as you're in all your clean stuff, you just sit right there on the formation. Wild. Adam. We also took some ferromanganese samples. There's a lot of science work going on in there. This is Garrett Jorgensen and Brian Kendrick, who sketched like over a mile of cave that day. Oh, and so the last shot that we took that day was like 260 something feet, one shot. The laser from the disto the dot was so huge that Garrett and I had to like stand next to each other as a target. It was a very long shot, and so it looked like it was going to keep going around the corner, and this is what we were looking at. So that was us at the end of the day, and then we had to travel back out. I think it took us like 9-10 hours to get out or something. Really. And then just one quick slide on where we ended. Right around the corner was Midnight Junction. So a trip that John Lyles did, like just a few days later, a week later, whatever. They found Midnight Junction. And going one way from Midnight Junction, they found all this cool stuff, Harmony Hall, whatnot. So this is what the cave looked like at the end of 2012. And then we went in April 2013. And this was probably my very favorite trip of all. And it started with a issue with the key. There was a bit of a mix-up, so we had to break in. Long story, I'll tell you over beer. And then we were able to actually drink water from a pool in the cave called Finger Lake this time, so we didn't have to haul nearly as much water, which was nice. We found these really cool places where you could just see the sequence of events that happen as Snowy was flowing, and look at all these layers. It's crazy. Just really wild stuff. This was probably about midnight when we took a break and took some 5-hour energy shots. Found some box work, which was pretty unusual. And then this was the best part. It was the end of the day. We just surveyed down Snowy River south, and at this point we're probably 12 miles from the entrance, something like that. And we got to this junction, and it was 4:30 in the morning, and we had to turn around to head out. I mean, we were looking at a 30-hour day. And so going south, this is how the passage looked going that direction. And this is us with our goofy shoe covers on, posing in front of the lead that we left going south. And this is still a lead. There's Adam standing, right at the beginning of the lead. So that's how Snowy looks going around the next bend. Surveyed 5,700 feet on that trip. Turned around, came out, and we were total zombies. And then, very last thing is I did there's been 2 camps now in the cave, and so I was on the second one, which was summer of 2014. This is at the campsite. We got our little theme parks and stuff. I'm just going to breeze through this because I'm out of time, but this was a crawl that we found we called Catch 23. So for any Trailer Park Boys fans out there, Trailer Park Boys reference. Anyway, so it was like, did we want to go through this crawl where we could potentially break soda straws, which we did not, but it was pretty scary trying to go under all those, or go this other way around where we might impact Snowy where it had a really thin crust. So it was a Catch 23 situation, as Ricky would say. This is something else we found on that trip. Anyway, so yeah, it was a 4-day trip. We got over 6,000 feet of survey. And this is what the map looks like now-ish, although there were a couple trips in 2018 that aren't on here. So yeah, that thing is still a lead down here. So at 4:30 a.m. junction on the camp trip, we went the other direction, and Snowy River South is still beckoning. So it was flowing. The reason not much has happened since 2014 is because Snowy started flowing again, and it didn't stop until last year. And so there were a couple expeditions just this past fall with over 12,000 feet added. But still, that lead at the end of Snowy River is still a lead. And it's 34.6 miles long, second longest cave in New Mexico, behind Machu Picchu. And, I thought I had another picture. I don't. Okay, so anyway, I put this picture up again because that's the lead that we can't wait to get back to. And I am out of time.